though, last night saw the beginning of this week's Britain's Got Talent semi-finals, and dancer Tobias Mead made it through to the final. You know little Tobias, don't you?
I know Tobias. Tobias was one of the dancers on our tour, and he was the real fun. I mean, they were all great, but he was the real cheeky one and naughty one, kept getting told off. And he's such a lovely guy, and he's had a hard time of it growing up because his parents and his brothers didn't want him to be a dancer and all of that. And so to see him... Oh, and on the opening night of our tour, we rehearsed for 6 weeks. He was brilliant. He used to do this backflip on stage. He did it on the opening night, the opening night show, and broke his heel.
Oh, no.
So he missed the whole tour, and he cried his eyes out and all. Oh, it was so sad. And then, so to see him on this, mind you, he owes me a fortune from last night. I was on that phone every... Oh, I kept pressing redial, redial. So at the moment, he owes me about £25,000. But, oh, it's so great to see someone so talented and so nice doing so well, and it means such a lot to him. So I was absolutely thrilled to see him on there. He's brilliant.
Well, he wasn't the only star of last night's show. Jane, you got a little name check as well. I don't know if, did you actually see it last night?
Yes, I did. I spit my tea out again. I couldn't believe it.
Well, if any of you are watching at home and you missed it, have a little look at this.
I love it when I hear her singing, especially when I see her arm loose women. The day is never cloudy and rainy. When I'm thinking of my cruise ship baby, we can have a baby called Ronald, cause I'm in love with Jay McDonald. Is it, I don't cup of tea, love.
I'm so flattered, and he's sweet. I love his fake tan as well, because he's got a tide mark all the way down his leg. He's very funny, and I think it's great because I mean, it's camp, isn't it? That's what he's all about. And I love it because he does it to wind Simon Cowell up. I'm sure it's just a wind-up for Simon Cowell, so I'm glad he's got that far.
Jen, I actually don't think he does it as a wind-up. I mean, I do think that's his act on a cruise ship, probably. I think he's over the top, you know, he knows he's over the top. The only thing for me with him, and it was great to see all of that, and he is entertaining, he kind of, because Simon has got that impression of cruise ship entertainers, that's his impression of them. And I think he's just added to that. He's everything that Simon thinks cruise ship entertainers are.
Is he a real cruise ship entertainer then, or is he just taking the
ferry.
Michael?
He does the ferry.
Oh, there you go.
But that's my only thing, I think, because there's great entertainers.
Thank you for standing up for cruise ship singers. That's very good of you, Colleen, because they're very good.
Back to business. A study of 3,000 couples has revealed that a lack of sex, spontaneity and romance makes it harder to maintain a loving relationship. More than 50% of those questions said their partner was no longer the affectionate and giving person that they were at the start, with a third admitting that acts of spontaneity are all but dead and gone. Gone. No, it's me. Just thought it was funny. So does that sound familiar? Do you think spontaneity? Do you think it is? Do you think it's sustainable in a long-term relationship?
Well, you see, it's still
can't even say it. Never mind. Do it.
Bless you, bless you. You'll get the teeth fixed. Yeah. You see, it's still quite new for Ed and I. We're still on that, you know, rosy glow. Which is nice, and it's still just 2 years, so we're still finding out a lot about each other. And I feel a bit sorry for Ed, because he literally has to make an appointment just to be spontaneous, really. And, he is very spontaneous, and he's got a wild imagination as my own.
What was it? Tell us more.
Oh, no, I don't think I can, really. This is a daytime show. But anyway, I was potting my plants the other day. You know, because I've got domestic now. Still don't cook, but I was potting my plants. I had my marigolds on with my compost. And he was there potting with me.
Is that what it's become? I know. Potting plants at the weekend.
I love it. And, of course, his shed's outside, so I do visit him now and again.
Was that a spontaneous bit of potting?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was spontaneous potting. We'd been to garden centre with my mother, and she told me what to get and things like that. And it was really good fun. I know it sounds like... And he sort of started talking to me like he was the gardener. And I thought...
Really?
I thought, where's this going? It did. It went all the way there, yes, it did. It was really good. Do you know, it was fantastic. And I thought, it's a good job he's so spontaneous. And
he's romantic, isn't he?
He's very romantic. He leaves me little notes and gets up every morning. I mean, I get up quite early for this show, sometimes, like you do, Colleen. It's 4:30, and he always gets up and makes me a cup of tea. brings it. He's just so lovely. Leaves him alone. I know, he's great, isn't he? I'm very lucky. I don't know what he's doing with me. I don't.
Because we're only 2 years as well, and it's still, you know, it still feels like we just met, actually. So it's quite nice, and he is quite spontaneous. I'm trying to think if I am. Yes, I am.
Are you?
Sometimes, yeah. Yeah? Not as much as him, but I hope it does go on. But I do... it is true.
What we're talking about, hope
the spontaneity,
it goes on. Oh, right.
you know, in the relationship. And it is still quite, you know, it is quite romantic, still very touchy-feely, and, you know, it doesn't feel like 2 years at all. But, you know, I do understand that it gets more difficult. The longer it goes on, it gets harder. I mean, you know, being...
it actually doesn't.
I mean, being spontaneous, the longer it goes on, the harder it gets.
Yeah.
Well, you get used to each other, don't you? Should we just carry on?
We'll just the two of us.
Yeah.
Because, how long have you been with Ray now?
10 years in July we've been together.
10 years, you see.
10 years?
Yes. Ooh. And I have to say, now, this is my problem, girls. How long have you got? I am really, really romantic. I'm ridiculously, sickeningly romantic. And I love that. I love little notes. I love the fact he gets up and makes you a cup of tea. You know, you and Mark, you have your weekends away sometimes, don't you? And I would do all of that.
Right.
If I could find someone to do it with. No, I'm only messing. I absolutely, you know, I love him so much and I adore him, but he's not romantic.
Right.
And he doesn't get it. So he just thinks I'm being this kind of emotional dragon, like, what do you mean? And I'm going, well, if you don't know what I mean, it doesn't matter. You know, because it's one of them.
For years, though.
And I have been saying it for years. And I think the problem is 10 years down the line, you do kind of get, well, we're going to be together forever. You know.
Shouldn't, though.
But I don't. You know, I still miss him every time I'm away from him, and I will text him and tell him that. And I still will leave little notes, you know, or I'll go to him, oh, you know, this weekend, should we go out to, like, just for a meal for the two of us? And he'll go, what for? And then you just kind of go, oh, it doesn't matter.
We've got sausages that have got their use-by date
so
today.
I do think that
that's what we get.
as much as and I know he loves me and I know he died for me, but he needs to make more of an effort on that front because it's really getting to me. Darling. I'm going to live with Ed. And as for getting up at 4:30, forget it. I haven't been to bed before then, anyway.
OK, it's time for us to take